The 355 provides us with some strong female characters, but does it provide us with a strong start to 2022? So the 355 is a movie about a bunch of female characters that come together because there's a huge, terrorist plot in the background. This electronic device that kind of, culminates everything that you would expect from a Bond film or pretty much any spy film that you would see, in the history of time. And these four different women come together through various angles, and at first they're foes, and then they become friends. We start off with Jessica Chastain's character, who's a member of the CIA, and she's working with Sebastian Stan, and they separate. So she's on a mission to not only figure out what's going on with Sebastian Stan, but also to get this device. She comes across Diane Kruger's character, who's a member of, German military, and she may or may not be decent. It's hard to tell. She's definitely very tough and badass and brutal, but is she a good guy? Jessica Chastain reaches out to Lupita Nyong'o, who is a member of MI6 British intelligence, and she's a badass, but she's also very smart. Last but not least, we have Penelope Cruz, who is a therapist, a psychologist, who kind of is just in the middle of everything. And honestly, she's kind of useless and sometimes annoying, but that's part of her character. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but she's definitely in the way, but provides some heart throughout the film. So ultimately, what I'll say about this movie is, let's go. How do I want to phrase this? I want to start off with the technical aspect, the filmmaking. It's horrendous. Simon Kinberg is the director, and honestly, I wouldn't have been surprised if you would have told me the director of Taken 3 made this movie. I wouldn't be surprised if a film student made this. The direction is choppy and it's ugly. Imagine all the fight scenes being this close up and you just can't really tell what's going on. I was getting a headache almost the entire film trying to watch this and focus on what's happening, kind of care, and have PTSD of my mom growing up telling me to get my face away from the TV as I was watching as a kid. So aside from the choppy editing and filmmaking, in general, no wide scenes, hardly anything in camera, multiple cuts. There's scenes where they're fighting and they're shooting guns and they're kicking and spinning and all that stuff, and it just cuts to all of that. It unfortunately does not provide any of these women the opportunity to stand out in the action scenes. What I will say is, whenever the characters are hanging out together, whether they're fighting, arguing, or getting to know each other, if the camera is still and steady and not moving, these actors do a fantastic job kind of building up their characters, which makes it even more frustrating that ultimately you don't really care because of the choppy editing and just because of the lack of overall, build up and kind of charisma that you would want from them. There's not many jokes, there's not much fun to be had here, and there's a lot of mystery and twists and turns that kind of, get real convoluted. It's not complicated. If you've seen films pretty much ever, it's really not that smart, and honestly, it's not that interesting. There's a few moments in this movie that, give me hope for if there's theoretically like a sequel or a franchise. There's one scene where it's really spy oriented, where all the characters got to work together and they're trying to get the object back. And the plan that they have, it's pretty fun, and it's, actually shot not that bad. And then there's one other scene where there's a shootout and the utilization of dark chopping in and out. It's shot well, and it just kind of gives you the opportunity to use your imagination to see what could have been in that scenario. Also, the ending is not so bad. It's generic. It doesn't do anything special. There's nothing flashy in terms of the choreography, the fighting, the action, the shooting, none of that stuff. But it does a decent job of, forgetting all the flaws that you had beforehand. So at the end of the day, at the beginning of 2022, is this a movie that, kind of sets the tone for how I think the rest of the year is going to be? I don't think so. I don't think this movie's that good, but there was enough potential that I'm like, all right, so whatever we're going to get later on, it is what it is. Now, do I recommend this film? I cannot say so. Like, obviously, if it's on TV or if, there's a deal on Redbox or whatever, and you can get it for cheap or free, you're not going to regret watching it. You just should not go out of your way to do so. So by the end of the film, I was kind of teetering if I wanted to give it a 3-star rating out of 5, or if I honestly wanted to drop it down to a 1-star. So by the end, after thinking about it, I'm meeting in the middle. I'm going to give it 2 out of 5 stars because the filmmaking aspect is terrible. The plot is generic. The twists and turns you see coming a mile away, but the acting was fine, and I technically have hope for potential sequels and a franchise from these characters because of how much I like the actresses individually and technically together. So with that said, The 355, it's not a movie that I'm mad that I saw, but I'm definitely not happy I saw it. Did you watch it, or did you happen to just stumble across this review because, you don't want to watch it and, you're just looking for multiple opinions? That's my opinion. Comment below your opinion, and comment below if this wasn't the first movie you saw from 2022. What was your first movie you saw from 2022? And what is your favorite movie from each individual actress? Jessica Chastain, Diane Kruger, Lupita Nyong'o, and Penelope Cruz. My name is Henry Confidential, and this is my attempt to start reviewing movies once again.